Beginning on ODO podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Odd Dad Out podcast, where normal is not my specialty. I am your host, the gonna be more careful about what I eat. You'll know later. Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad Out. You can find me at oddadoutpodcast.com or on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebooky places at Odd Dad Out. And this is the show where I share whatever the hell's going on in my little squirrel brain. I make fun of some weird shit from the news, and I tell you about a podcast that I think you need to listen to, because sharing is caring. as I like to say and rip off from some commercial somewhere in the 80s, I think it was. So, remember last week, or when I was talking about Foodstock, and I mentioned how my wife was sick at the time? Well, she had what I can only describe as a 100-degree fever paired with a viciously wicked cough. It just was not pleasant. And so, we went through all that. And by the time of Foodstock, she was on kind of the tail end of it. But she was miserable for quite a while. And you know how it is, especially in this house. Sick doesn't stay put. It just usually ends with her rather than begins. But in this case, it very quickly spread to Damien, who actually ended up spending the next week. He only went to school. He went to school on Tuesday. On Monday, both of the older boys actually were homesick. But on Tuesday, he actually got worse. So his fever kind of cleared up, and you're like, okay, he's doing a little bit better today. And he went to school, but he really still had the cough, and it was, his teachers were saying, hey, yeah, looks like you're still sick. Maybe maybe you shouldn't have come back because you're still coughing a lot. And so he ended up staying home Wednesday and Thursday too, because incidentally on Tuesday night, his fever spiked. He went from, okay, he's doing okay, he's better, he's just got a little cough, to he's got 100-degree fever again. The fuck? So he ends up spending the next 2 days home, which, how things go. It's just, kids home, sick. What can you do? But by the end of it, he ends up finally going back to school on Friday. It was like, I hate when he misses so much time from school, because he's out 3 days. Odd that, again, not even consecutive days, but he was out 3 days, and that just messes with him with homework and classwork and getting stuff done and all that. But I'm like, all right, well, come the weekend, he's finally kind of clear of it. And what happens? Now Sam, our 3-year-old, middle of the night, I think it was 4, maybe 4:30, and I'm getting home, and when I get home, I go in and I check on everybody, and everyone's knocked out in their beds, and it was late, so I went and climbed straight into bed. I'm like, fuck it, I'm tired. I have not even fallen completely asleep before I hear this wretch, ultra violent, throat scraping, lungs just being hawked up, just the most violent cough you could imagine, coming from down the hall. And I immediately recognized it, and I hear the gate open and the crying and the coughing. It's Sam. Out of nowhere. The house was dead silent when I came home. I checked on him, it's maybe 15, 20 minutes before. I just checked on him. And next thing I know, he is crying, fussing at the end of the hall, curled, kind of bunched up, crying, coughing his head off. When I heard him, and when Rihanna heard him, we immediately thought, especially because he was crying, that he threw up. No, It just was that violent of a cough. It's that violent. It's like a violent, wet cough. It sounds like everything he's ever eaten in his life is about to come at you. But he's not. It's a dry in that, like, it sounds wet, but it's not. There's nothing there. And it sucked because, I'm trying to deal with, I just got home. It's 4 something in the morning. The boys still have school tomorrow. And I have to take them to school because Rihanna had a bunch of overtime that she had to do. So I was having to take the boys to school in the morning. I was like, fuck, this is going to suck. But I just, kind of swooped him up. I tried to calm him down, tried to get him to drink some water. Here, here, let's get some cough medicine. Nothing. He refused. He did not want anything. Fair enough. He was afraid that if he drank any water or had any medicine or something, he was going to throw it up, which for a 3-year-old to have that sort of self-awareness is quite impressive. In his experience, when he's coughing a lot, he tends to throw up if he's drinking anything. So he didn't want anything. He didn't want to throw up because throwing up sucks. Well, and I basically was like, fine, okay, do you want to just go back to bed with me? Like, okay, yeah. Get him back in bed. He ended up sleeping in our bed for almost the whole week. Last night was the first night that he hasn't stayed in our bed. And it would be fine. It's like, hey, he's 3. He's small. He doesn't take up a lot of space. And I'm working at night. Most of the nights it doesn't really bug me. Except he kicks and punches, and he's a very rough, violent sleeper. He's just tosses and turns a lot. So it's not the most pleasant experience with him in the bed. And of course, in the morning we're dealing with all the things. He did not want anything to eat for a better part of a day and a half. He just did not, like, oh, do you want some crackers? Do you want some, nothing. He didn't want anything. I think because probably from the cough making his throat scratchy, it probably hurt to swallow, whatever. I finally, like midway through the day, got him to drink some water. And he was like nursing the same cup of water all day. But he basically sat in my bed for 2 days. He would just lay there. He was like, no, I just want to, he didn't want to watch TV. He didn't want to play. He just curled up in our bed and knocked the hell out for the better part of 2 days. And by day 2, he started, getting hungry again and started wanting to try and eat. He actually got up and had breakfast. He was still iffy about most other stuff, but I think it was by that point he didn't eat anything for a whole day, and I'm sure he was starving. But he was still coughing, and he still had this fever, and he still does now. It's been a little over a week. He's still kind of riding this low grade fever and the cough, and in the meantime, Bug has picked it up too, which kind of makes sense because he's home with us all day, and he's been sitting there, with Sam in my bed. Basically, we've kind of been spending our mornings. Like, he's the big troublemaker. He's the one that wants to go get into everything. So we all just curl up in the bed, pull out my laptop, and watch Netflix for the morning, which is a great way to keep the boys entertained. But basically, I could sit there and sleep, and Bug's sitting there watching Netflix with us in bed, and Sam is knocked the hell out. So we're all getting, basically getting rest, and Bug isn't causing any trouble. He's just sitting there watching cartoons on Netflix on my laptop. And we're all together. It's fine. Yay. But this also means times where I would have been up and being productive. And sidebar, people might tell you that, because there's a lot of people, like, I have a lot of friends who are podcast editors like me, who basically work from home, and they get up and they never put on pajamas, or voice actors who get up and they live in their studios. They live behind their computers, and they don't have to get up and go interact with the world during the day. So they never bother getting dressed. They get up, they throw on sweatpants, or they put on, or they're in pajamas all day or whatever. And they do their thing. And I have found that if I don't get up and get dressed in the morning, I'm not nearly as productive. If I'm in pajamas, it means I'm not doing anything. It's almost like my default. Pajamas means I'm not doing shit right now. But if I get up and get dressed, I'm just immediately more productive for the day. Mondays, when I have to take the boys to school in the morning, I have to get up. I have to get dressed so I can, because I'm not a show up to drop off in pajamas guy. I don't walk out the door in my pajamas. So I've found that if I actually get up and get dressed, I'm more productive in my day. So see, that's just how that works for me. End sidebar. Anyway, so naturally with Bug spending all this time, we're sitting there, we're all grouped together in bed we've got the humidifier going. And that's a big part of why we were in my room, is that with Rihanna being sick, we had the humidifier going and it was already in here. Big comfy bed. We can all sit here. We're all going to stay in here and have the humidifier going for them. Fine. Well, naturally, Bug being in here and us all kind of hunched together in the same bed for all of this nap time, Netflixing and sick, Bug ended up getting sick. So right now I'm dealing with the two littles both having this nasty cough. And for the most part, I'm being able to kind of keep their fevers in check with Motrin and stuff like that. But again, I'm surprised I haven't got it yet, really. Considering I normally am one of the first. Normally it's a case of the boys get something and then I immediately get it because I'm around the boys the most. But this time it started with my wife, worked its way through the boys. And as of right now, I haven't gotten it. And I'm wondering, really, because I had kind of a cough, no fever or anything, just a really annoying cough a few weeks ago before she got sick. And I thought that's what she was going to have. Not what she had, not what they have. And so I don't know if what I went through is what they're going to go through. But it's kind of interesting because ever since I started doing the allergy pill stuff, the Zyrtec, I haven't been feeling as cruddy about stuff like that. I've been a little more tired. Then again, I've also been working late nights and having sick boys around and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm maybe the immune help or something might be a side effect of being on the allergy meds. I don't know. The being sleepy is definitely an effect of allergy meds. I think every allergy medication has that side effect. But I don't know. I don't know. But that's it for that. Enough sick kids talk. You guys know by now, my kids get sick. Everybody ends up getting sick by the end of it. I'm just hoping this time it's not me. I'm hoping to escape this one. I don't know how, because again, I'm the one who's with them all day and doing all the things with them, but I'm hoping. But I'm going to take my first little break here, play you some promos, and I will be back with the news.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Justin, and we can't believe it's already time for the 2019 live stream for The Cure.
Thanks to our amazing peers, listeners, and supporters, last year we crushed our goal of $5,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
The Cancer Research Institute is funding research into immunotherapy to create a future immune to all forms of cancer. Every single cent we raise goes to them.
And they're also rated over 92% on charitynavigator.org.
This year, we're aiming our sights even higher with our most ambitious event to date.
Join us May 17th through the 19th on twitch.tv/epicfilmguys for 40 hours of live content from us and other amazing shows who will join us to try to reach $7,500.
Please visit www.livestreamforthecure for more information or to find out how you can be a part of the event. Together, we can make a difference.
If you're looking for an in-depth, detailed, academic analysis of the past, devoid of any comedy or entertainment value presented by an educated historian with a PhD, this isn't the show for you. Hi, I'm Tawny Plattis, a professional voiceover actor who gives a very casual, very Southern Californian, and hopefully very comedic retelling of the sexy, scandalous, and salacious stories from history your teacher probably left out on my podcast, The Dirty Bits. Catch the show on TawnyVoice.com or anywhere podcasts are found. Chat soon, Lovebug.
Bullshit from the news.
It's another one of those. Wow, there was actually a theme to it this week, sort of news weeks. First, and I didn't even catch it. I seriously, I didn't even catch that there was a theme until I was kind of typing up the show notes and putting the artwork together, and I realized everything is about eating. And I didn't even catch it. I didn't catch it. I pulled the stories, I did the things, I had everything arranged, and then I realized after writing everything up and was writing my little blip at the top of the page, if you ever actually read the show notes, that they're all related to eating. So let's just start. First up, Canadian doctors warn women to stop eating their placenta. Gross. So, I don't know if you were aware, but in recent years, there's been kind of a trend of women consuming their placenta after they give birth. The people that support this, that are endorsing this, and the celebrities, the Kim Kardashians and the Gwyneth Paltrows, and there's a bunch of others, they all claim that there's a bunch of health benefits from it. It's so amazing. It's all natural. It's from your body. It's extra. It's nutrients. It's nutrients and nutrition and things that it's for the baby. And if you eat it, then you will get all this nutrition, and it's great for postpartum depression, and it helps with lactation, and it's iron and all this blah 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 blah. These are the same type of claims, and the science behind this is about as helpful and as accurate as flat earth and anti-vaxxers. The science doesn't back you up. Sorry. There's actually no doctor who has ever been able to identify any health benefits, real legitimate documentable health benefits for eating placenta. On the flip side, they actually found out there's a very high risk of infection. Matter of fact, most health departments in most countries, especially like Canada, Australia, the USA, warn women, do not eat placenta. And this isn't even like they're not sitting there. I have to assume they're going with, like, when you see an animal give birth in the wild, like a cow or something like that, or a sheep, or I don't know. You see a lot of the time, kangaroo, I don't know, just picking random animals. You see them after they give birth, they eat the placenta. And in those cases, yes, this is a nutrition thing. They're not people. In the case of people, it's dangerous. People contain really nasty stuff because we put really nasty stuff into our bodies. The point of the placenta is providing nutrition. Also, it basically acts as the catcher of infection. It is the snot, the eyelashes, the all of the mucous membranes. If you know what mucous membranes are for, it's a barrier that keeps shit from getting into shit. It keeps the nasty stuff out. It keeps the nasty stuff away from the baby. Well, let's all get stuck in the placenta. That's what it's for. Well, guess what? Placenta can contain streptococcus, HIV, hepatitis. All of these bacteria and viruses and things can actually still be there in the placenta after birth. It's there to stop that from getting to the baby. If you eat it, you're just ingesting all of that shit. Especially in the case of streptococcus, which, if you know anything about it, it's not digestible, I guess you would say. It's immune to being digested. It lives in the lower intestine area. And it's a fecal bacteria. Yeah. Your body, it doesn't like it. It also can't kill it. That's why you get sick from it so easily. And there are women who are out there, and some women are eating this shit raw. Blech. Again, you're not a cow, you're not a horse. You don't eat your placenta. Others are doing like freeze dried and making it in pills. But no matter what, either it's initially contaminated or there's a high risk of it becoming contaminated in the process between birth and turning it into a pill. Just don't. There's no documentable health benefits. And all of the science actually says you have a higher risk of getting an infection from it than you do from getting any health benefits. There was actually a case in the States. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. In 2017, Center for Disease Control in the U.S. said placenta capsule ingestion should be avoided after a baby was hospitalized with a bacterial infection traced back to placenta pills mom had been taking. Don't take placenta pills. Just don't. Stop eating placenta. Never mind the plague. I mean, the infection. Never mind the infection. I'm getting ahead of myself. Just don't eat them. It's gross. Bah. Like I said, speaking of plagues. Oh, man. A couple dies from bubonic plague. Yeah, that plague. After eating raw marmot. A couple in Mongolia have died from bubonic plague after consuming raw marmot meat. This also ended up resulting in the quarantine that left about 118 villagers and foreign tourists trapped in the village for 6 days. Yeah, because it's a fucking plague. Don't you know where plagues come from? Bubonic plague is carried by rodents, like all of them, from fleas and all of the stuff. I don't know what the fuck they did with it. I mean, theoretically, I don't know how plague travels exactly. I know it's all of the shit, in Europe and the Black Plague and all this. Yeah, it's that same thing. Don't eat rodents. At the very least, don't eat raw rodents. Gross. Rodents can carry so many diseases. And I'm not shitting on rodents. I mean, okay, to a certain degree I am. But a great many really, really bad illnesses are transmitted by rodents. That's just fact. That is just something that is true, that exists. Rodents carry disease because rodents are not really resistant to disease. In most cases, they don't live in, granted, yeah, that's urban rodents and stuff, but they don't all live in the cleanest of areas. And a lot of them are so omnivorous or whatever that they can thrive in such conditions that, yeah, they can be in some really shitty places. How do you know they haven't come into contact? It's like a housefly landing on your food. You know that fly has touched shit somewhere. Don't eat rodents. And I realized Paul from Varmints is going to sit here and yell at me and was like, not all rodents. I know not all rodents. But this particular rodent had plague. So this is in Mongolia. They're literally on the border between China and Russia. And they got plague. Now, just as a side tangent, most people don't realize that bubonic plague still exists in the world. There are still outbreaks throughout the world. There was a small outbreak of plague here in Arizona last year. It happens. It's just kind of a thing. There are, ways to take care of it and to prevent it and to lessen your risk of encountering it. But again, back to the anti-vaxxers. People don't want to do the shit to not get killed by something that we thought was dead. It's seriously, plague is like a zombie disorder. It's like measles. We shouldn't still be having to deal with bubonic plague, but we do. So don't eat the fucking rat. I know it wasn't a rat, whatever. And then your neighbors won't have to get quarantined because you were a dumb fuck. Yes, I realize I'm calling these dead people dumb fucks, but they were dumb fucks who died from plague because they ate a fucking rat. I didn't intend to get as angry on that one. So, 2 down, 1 to go, which means it's time for the jackass of the week. This one's actually a little bit different. Still food, but more of, seriously, people, there is a class action lawsuit being filed against Post cereals claiming that Cocoa Pebbles contain no real, air quotes, real cocoa. Yeah, that's what they're fucking suing over, because the current box says made with real cocoa. So they're basically saying, if you look at the ingredients list of Cocoa Pebbles, and I think there's a handful of other ones that have chocolate in them, but in the ingredients list, it says that it is made, the ingredient listed is cocoa processed with alkali, which basically it reduces the acidity of the cocoa powder. These people that are complaining, that are being fucking nitpicky, now this isn't artificial cocoa. This isn't artificial chocolate flavoring. This is real cocoa treated with alkali, which makes it appear darker. It makes it a darker color, and it reduces the acidity. It's not as sharp of a chocolate flavor. It's more mellow. That's what it's for. It's processed a little bit more. These people are getting super nitpicky, saying it's not real cocoa, that by putting real cocoa on the box, you're saying that it is made with pure unadulterated cocoa powder, which is basically when you make cocoa powder, you crush up the cocoa nibs. If you know anything about the structure of what a cocoa bean is, but you crush the little nibs, you separate the cocoa butter and the solids and blah, 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 and it's pressed into cakes and it's ground up, and that's cocoa powder. That is raw cocoa powder, just separating the components of the bean. Well, because they aren't stopping and just using the raw cocoa powder in that form, they're processing it, lots of S's, processing it further, that now it's not real cocoa because it's processed cocoa. Grumble, grumble, harump, harump. It's fucking chocolate. Stop bitching. You're still eating fucking candy cereal. What the fuck difference does it make if it's real chocolate, if it's unadulterated, pure, raw, natural cocoa, or if it's been processed to make it less acidic? Because guess what? We don't like acid. And if you've ever had raw, unadulterated cocoa powder, shit's bitter as fuck. It is super sharp. It is bitter as fuck. It is not good for most things. There's a reason there's something called Dutch processed cocoa. That's what most shit is made from. Raw, straight, real cocoa powder is bitter as fuck, and it's nasty. Really. And anybody who's ever tried to cook with it, it is a bitch and a half to cook with. You use processed cocoa for cooking. That's just how cooking works. Cooking is chemistry. They're just using a step ahead. It's real cocoa. It's not artificial cocoa. It's just processed further. That is literally, they're suing over that, saying it's not real cocoa. It's real cocoa. That is ultimately the thing. There's nothing fake about it. This is not, saying made with real cane sugar and you've been using corn syrup. That's a completely different thing. It's not made with real banana flavoring, and it's obviously, runts. Runts are not made with real banana flavoring because real banana flavor doesn't taste anything like candy banana flavor or artificial grape. Artificial grape, I've never found a grape in the world that tastes like artificial grape. Just saying. Chocolate is chocolate is chocolate. You don't have to fake chocolate, but they're sure as shit not going to be. It's real. They're not using any artificial flavor here. It's made with real cocoa. It's just processed a little further. Stop being nitpicky bitches. As far as like, I can't see any side of this where these people are going to win because it's real cocoa. They aren't claiming natural. They aren't claiming, there's no claim being made that it is not, they're not saying it's organic or pure or none of that. It's real. They're just saying it's real. That's all. It's not artificial vanilla. It's real. It's real cocoa. Not real cocoa flavoring, real cocoa. That's it. Stop bitching. You're going to lose. They're going to lose bad. And if I almost want to do a follow-up on this, because if they lose, I'm going to want to find out what the fuck this judge has been smoking, because it's real cocoa. That's it. It's not cocoa extract. It's not, essence of cocoa. It's not produced from beaver anal glands. It's sad to say a lot of artificial flavorings come from that. It's really, ugh. It's just processed further. It's white rice. This is the white rice of cocoa. All rice is the same shit. It is. Brown rice, white rice, it's the same rice. One's just been processed further. It's bleached white flour, not whole wheat flour. Same shit. Just processed further. That's what this is. This is the white flour. It's the white rice. I realize I'm giving you all these white examples for chocolate things, but still. Incidentally, sidebar, white chocolate isn't actually chocolate. If it doesn't have any of the cocoa powder or any of that shit in it, white chocolate is the byproduct of making actual chocolate. Anyway, if you take all of the chocolate out of the chocolate, that's what you're left with is white chocolate. Anyway, fucking God, stop being so fucking nitpicky about food. God damn it. Fucking jackasses. All right, I'm going to play one more promo for you, and I will be right back with this week's recommended listening feature, Your Brain on Facts.
Hey, my name's Paul, and I'm not an animal expert.
I'm Donna, and I'm not an animal expert either.
And together we do a podcast about animals called Varmints.
Every week we pick an animal, do a bunch of research on it, and bring you some interesting facts about that animal.
But we don't stop there. We talk about that animal in movies, TV, and other pop culture.
And we talk about whether or not that animal would make a tasty dish, and how intelligent we think it is on the scale of 1 to 10.
It's exactly like one of those fancy PBS nature documentaries.
Except with more poo jokes.
New episodes go live every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Or you can visit us at blazingcariboustudios.com.
Varmints! Varmints!
Recommended listening.
Need to satisfy a hungry mind? Every week, Your Brain on Facts brings you science. Why does mint feel cold? History. King Charles II of Spain was so inbred, his family didn't bother educating him. Medicine. 2 doctors tested cocaine as an anesthetic by injecting it into their own spines. Music. Many hit songs and even entire albums were written for revenge. Technology. The first video game was made on an oscilloscope in 1958. Art. Restorers destroyed a Da Vinci sketch by dunking it in water and alcohol. And every other topic under the sun. Look for Your Brain on Facts on your favorite podcast app or at yourbrainonfacts.com.
Your Brain on Facts. This is one of those shows, like so many I've talked about recently, where I've heard about it. And I've heard about it a lot for a long time. I just never listened to it. And it's one back when Emily would put promos on the front end of the story behind, where she would talk about, hey, if you're into this, maybe check out these different podcasts. And she would kind of do that at the opening of her show. This was one of the ones in the history category. And I was like, well, it's history. History shows are boring. And I realize that by the story behind, not boring. Dirty bits, not boring. Now, Tawny will argue that she's not a history show, that she's a comedy show. Either way, she's still teaching you about shit. So I was like, I don't care about the history shows. I love trivia stuff, and that's why I like the story behind it. I love trivia and I love weird shit. And so Moxie from Your Brain on Facts is the person who put together the whole Operation Switcheroo back at April Fool's, which was a fun thing to do. And this was my first interaction with her. Again, I'd seen her around. I knew who she was. I knew the show. I'd never listened. But I figured, you know what? She's putting this whole thing together. I'm going to go ahead and listen to the show. And now I'm like, damn it, why haven't I been listening to this the whole time? Because really, it's just an information dump. It's pick a topic, and she digs up all of this crazy information about the various things, whether it's people who survived longer than they should have, like those unkillable people, or this week's episode was actually about female photographers throughout history, like famous female photographers, which was, it's not a topic you'd think of, but it's something that works. And it's something that, like, hey, this is a lot more interesting than I thought it was originally going to be. And she makes, you get so much information out of her, but she makes it worth listening to. Recently, she did an episode, I think it was actually about a month ago now that I look at it, about voice actors and the amount of work and the famous voices and the people that you don't realize you've heard them everywhere. and the life of a voice actor and that stuff. She did, and this was funny because she had a poll up about topics for the show, and somebody put up there, basically, I dare you to do an episode on Finland. And although it wasn't, meant as a challenge, she took it as a challenge. And she did an entire episode on Finland. Because for whatever reason, she has an amazing talent for research. I mean, it's just famous court cases and like people who had like crazy attempts at people who were trying to put forward like really crazy not pleas, their justification or their explanation. The legal term is blanking. Alibi or whatever, or the devil made me do it. That sort of shit. On all those sort of things. Famous physicians and things like that. Sigmund Freud. I love this. The title of the Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was full of shit. Obviously censored because, iTunes are dicks. It's a Christmas spirit and monsters and other fun. Yeah. It's just, she does all these different crazy. There's so much to learn. And she does this amazing job of giving you these straight stories about all of these things, because it's not like, fact, date, fact, date, fact. She has, it's a story. Every little thing has a story. And that's what I really like about it, because I like stories. I like, history is boring because most people who teach history are boring. They can't tell a story effectively. History books are not written entertainingly. They're written like math books. They're written fact, numbers, dates, facts. They don't, but Moxie has this great ability to tell these stories with such emotion. And there was one about, I think it was in the Finland episode, talking about this sniper who this guy, holy shit. I don't know how many times I stopped and was like, holy shit, during the story of this sniper. This guy was just amazing. And her ability to tell these stories about these historical figures and these historical things, and her ability to shit all over Sigmund Freud so effectively. And I've heard that from a few different shows, but her amazing ability to mix in all of the facts and dates and things with these really amazing, compelling stories. And I like the one with the female camera photographers. Sorry, photographer. That's the word. It was the female photographers. And I was just listening to that last night. Apparently, one of the women in the story is still alive and like 100-something years old, as far as people can tell. They're like, okay, as far as we can tell, she's still alive, and she should be like 102 or something. Holy shit. But what the hell? And she still apparently is at it and you know, out there shooting. Damn good for her. But just, she draws you in. And it's kind of funny in that, like, her ability to draw you in and really get you with the stories, because for the most part, she kind of has a robotic voice. And it's really funny because I like I said, I've talked about how I listen up to like 1.5 and 2x speed now. Her voice at 2x speed straight up sounds like a robot. No lie. She sounds like a robot at 2x speed. But it still grabs. It doesn't matter if she sounds like a high-speed robot or if she sounds like the most out there dynamic and all over the place and boom. And I don't know. It's the thing about improvising this is, and that pulling expressions out of my ass is that I don't have a thing prepared for which to go, well, look at that. And they did the, and I don't have any of that. I don't have anything to draw from immediately to use as an example of dynamic storytelling. And then the hero stabbeth thee, and I know I'm fucked now. And I want to be a voice actor because other people write your shit for you. I can read the shit. I can perform the shit. Don't ask me to write it. I just can't. I improvise comedy, people, or whatever the hell I call this. Anyway, back on Moxie, because Moxie's cool. And I was chatting with her yesterday to get the clip for the show. And we were talking a little bit, it was really quick, about, you know, the whole Operation Switcheroo. And I had so much fun doing that. As much as it's a little tricky, especially when you're working with like 3 shows working in a kind of circular motion. But she was saying there were a lot of problems that actually happened from that, and just kind of with emails and things going in spam or whatever, and people not being able to communicate as easily as they were. This was kind of necessary for everything to go off without a hitch, but it was still a really fun thing to do. And I was telling her, I was like, I hope this becomes a tradition, because it was really fun, and it's a really good thing and a really cool idea to get other people to check out your stuff. And because it's, you know, intermixing with people that were in a similar sort of vein. So you might get some new listeners out of it. And it was kind of cool. And so it's like I said, I hope this becomes a regular thing. I'm looking forward to next year and, you know, what happens with that. But either way, whatever, that's a whole other thing. But you need to check out, if you just dig trivia or history or any of that, whatever at all, you need to go check out Your Brain on Facts. Really. And again, I've talked about the story behind and the dirty bits. And best I can tell you, if I'm going to tell you to go listen to a history show, it's not boring. Anything on history or mythology or anything where you're learning a bit of something, I listen to it because it's entertaining. Because at the end of the day, I want to be entertained first. If you can't entertain me, I'm not going to keep listening. I'm not. And I think that goes for most people. If you can't get entertained, you're not going to keep listening. And that's me. If she couldn't hook me on the subjects and the way she tells and the delivery and getting the stories in there to entertain while educating about Finland. I know way too much about Finland now. It's kind of sad. Even that some people believe that Finland is a conspiracy. I didn't know that. But she does it. She gets you in there. She hooks you. She gets the stories and she makes it entertaining. And then you find out later that oh shit, you just learned a bunch of stuff. I love that. And she does that. So check out Your Brain on Facts at yourbrainonfacts.com. Of course, links in the show notes and in the big recommended listening wall of fame at odddatapodcast.com. Go there. I think there's 80 some shows up there now. I need to pull a couple of down. There's been a few that have recently retired. Or I need to put like fade them to gray or something. I don't know. I'm going to do something. But that is going to do it for me this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and putting up with my weird rambly bullshit. Remember, you can get links to all of the weird shit I talked about and all of the recommended listening and past episodes and there's links to subscribe and all of the things and how to reach me and all of that shit is at odddatapodcast.com. You can go there. And while you're there, subscribe to the show, share it with your friends, post it out on all the social media places. Buy a shirt. Buy a skateboard. Fuck, I have skateboards now. Did you know that? You should check it out. Check the shop tab right up there at the top. Buy yourself a skateboard. Why the fuck not? Or just a t-shirt. That works too. Or a coffee mug because you know me and coffee. Or if you're really awesome, you can sign up on Patreon. Right there in the little top. It's right there next to the shop. Really? Look for it. You can join and sign up to help support the show. Like my awesome supporters, Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, Chris from Play Comics and Meddling Kids, Lisa and Sam from I Shake My Head, and Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss, who I got to talk to this week, and she's a really cool lady. And I'm hoping we were able to get something out of that. She will be coming up eventually on the list. There's just so many people I want to talk to. But I know there's more shit. There's so many things I want to tell you where you need to go and you need to see me and you need to share with the people and the friends and all the stuff. I don't know. Put devices back in my head. I promise. I just put them in. Okay. I'm going to put them away. They're going away. Going away. Going. Okay. That's it. That is it for the show this week. I don't know what the fuck that was. But if you want more weird shit and more just silly, goofy shit, because I just like posting up weird, silly, goofy shit, join the Oddballs Facebook group. I renamed it. Because, honestly, I may not post shit every day, but I like posting weird shit and silly shit, and you know me at this point, I love doing things that's funny and silly and goofy and weird, and you get a little more of my personality and weirdiness besides listening to me being weird and letting the voices out sometimes. So join the group. And I'm rambling, and I've gone on way long, and I think the music is going to be running out soon, so I'm going to get going out of here. Thank you again so much. And until next week, my oddballs, thank you and good night.